A very warm welcome, dear students. I hope you are enjoying these innovative revision lectures. Yes, if you are liking them, then please leave your comments in the comment box and share your experience with me. In this video, we will now discuss the first two units of the Sale of Goods Act 1930. Okay, now let us quickly go to the introduction and we will also discuss the essential elements of sale of goods, of a contract of sale. Now, the Sale of Goods Act came into force on 1st July 1930. Okay, it came into force on 1st July 1930. It also applies to the whole of India. As you already know, we had discussed this last time. It was previously a part of the Indian Contract Act. Just like partnership, Sale of Goods Act was also a part of the Indian Contract Act. But later on, the provisions were separated. You will still find a gap in the Contract Act because those provisions related to Sale of Goods Act. So they were later on repealed. Yes. Where the Sale of Goods Act is silent on any point, the Indian Contract Act shall apply because it is a contract of sale, so it has all the elements of a contract. Let us revise the definition given under section 4(1) of the Sale of Goods Act. Contract of sale. Now, as you know, you will be able to identify the elements from the definition itself. So contract of sale is a contract. So it means it is primarily, first and foremost, a contract whereby the seller transfers or agrees to transfer property in goods to the buyer for a price. So I found all the essential elements in the definition itself. Now let us go through these essential elements in detail. The first element is that it will contain all the essentials of a valid contract, like two parties, offer, acceptance, consideration, intention, free consent, lawful consideration, lawful object. Everything will be present here. Then there is a seller, there is a buyer, because you need two persons to enter into contract. You cannot sell goods to yourself. You cannot buy your own goods. So we need two persons. Now, who is a seller? Seller is a person who sells or agrees to sell. Okay, he is a person who either sells or agrees to sell. How will you define a buyer? Buyer is a person who buys or agrees to buy. Now, ma'am, how did you get this sells, agrees to sell? That is because contract of sale, you can write it over here. A contract of sale consists of both sale as well as agreement to sell. What is sale? Do you know what is sale and how is it different from agreement to sell? Well, sale means that the ownership is transferred immediately. Okay? Ownership is transferred immediately. Whereas in case of agreement to sell, the ownership is transferred. You can write this. Ownership is transferred at a later date or on fulfillment of certain conditions. Okay, so in case of sale, ownership is transferred immediately. In case of agreement to sell, ownership will be transferred at a future date or on fulfillment of certain conditions. So that is why I wrote seller is a person who either sells or agrees to sell Buyer is a person who buys or agrees to buy. What is he buying? What are they selling? Goods. Now, what is goods? Goods means it is every kind of movable property. Is immovable property included here? No. No. Goods means every kind of movable property which can be transported from one place to another. What does it include? Remember the definition? That is what you need to write. It includes shares, stock, growing crop. You can also write grass, growing crop, grass, growing crop, anything which is attached to land but which is agreed to be severed before the contract. You can remove it before the contract and make it movable. Like crops, I can cut it, I can remove the grains, put it in bags, it will become movable. Stock, shares, growing crop, grass, anything attached to land but which is agreed to be cut. It does not include immovable property, it does not include immovable property, it does not include actionable claims, it does not include money. Okay, it does not include money. Yeah, old coins are goods, but currency notes, know that something which is currently in circulation, they are not goods. So it includes stock, share, growing crop, grass, but it does not include immovable property, actionable claims, money. There is transfer of property. What is the meaning of property? Property means ownership. What am I transferring in Sale of Goods Act? I am transferring ownership. In case of sale, ownership, only ownership. Okay, I'm not concerned about delivery, payment of price. I can do that later also. What is my main concern? Transfer of ownership. Ownership is transferred immediately. Whereas in case of agreement to sell, ownership is transferred either at future date or on fulfillment of certain conditions. Do we give things for free? No, never. It is never for free. There is always some price. What is this price? Price means monetary consideration. Okay, it is nothing but monetary consideration. Money. Goods for goods. Is that sale? No. This is barter. This is not sale. No consideration. I'm giving you goods for free. That is, tell me, it is gift. That is not sale. Partly goods, partly money, like exchange offer, give your old TV, take new TV, balance you pay in cash. Partly goods, partly money. That's okay. This is sale. Now, formalities, should it be compulsorily in writing? No. Oral? No. Partly oral, partly written? I don't know, I'm confused. Ma'am, you tell. It can be writing, it can be oral, that agreement is there are no formalities to be observed. It can be in writing, it can be oral, it can be partly written, partly oral, anything will do. Payment, delivery, you can make either immediate, in the future, any combination. I will pay now, delivery in future, delivery now, payment in future, in installments. There are so many combinations. I'll write those over here. Okay, immediate, either immediate or in the future. Okay, so payment may be either immediate or it may be in the future, or it can also be in installment. It can also be in installments. Students, please note whether you have written all this properly. Your workbook should be complete. Okay, done. Again, in case of sale, ownership is transferred immediately. This is revision. Let's say that X sold some goods to Y. He gave the documents, he gave the invoice, ownership is transferred immediately. But what about agreement to sell? In this case, ownership is transferred at a future date or on fulfillment of certain conditions. Let's say, for example, X told Y, I will deliver goods to you after 7 days. Y said, okay, I will pay the money when you deliver the goods. So in this case, he said, I will sell the goods after 7 days. I will give you the ownership after 7 days. He said, okay, I will give the money on delivery. So in this case, he said, you come after 7 days, I will give it. Ownership will be transferred at a future date. Or they may have some conditions like X will tell Y, I will buy your scooter if you get it serviced. Okay, so I will buy your scooter provided you get the servicing done. It's some condition. Ownership will be transferred when you fulfill these conditions. Done with the writing? Very good. Now, what are the types of goods? Goods may be either existing goods, future goods, or contingent goods. Now, what is the meaning of existing goods? These are those goods which are in existence. Please highlight at the time of making the contract of sale. Okay, so they are already manufactured, produced, they are ready. They may be either a certain goods or uncertain goods. Can also be specific. Okay, I have not included that. We can also include specific goods. So their existence, they are in existence at the time of contract of sale. Specific goods means I have specified I want this scooter only. I want to buy this pencil only. I have specified the goods at the time of contract of sale. Okay, I have specified I want this only. Then we'll go to uncertain goods. Uncertain goods are those goods which are not identified. They are not agreed upon. at the time of contract of sale. Okay, so they are not identified, they are not agreed upon at the time of contract of sale. Let's say that I am seeing three cars. Okay, these are three cars. I don't know which one to buy. I want to buy one. So I tell the seller, I will buy one. I'm not very sure about it. All are uncertain goods. He says, do one thing. Take this first car. It will suit your purpose. Other two will require a lot of maintenance. They will require a lot of fuel consumption. So you take this first car. So he keeps it aside for you. That becomes ascertained. You want to buy you want to buy 100 bags of rice. Okay, 100 bags of rice. Now there are 500 bags lying in the godown. Out of those 500, which are your 100 bags, that is not determined. All these 500, they are unascertained goods. They are all uncertain goods. Then when you pick and keep this aside, you pick it up and you keep this aside, then that becomes ascertain goods. Now ascertain goods are those goods which are identified, they are agreed upon after. Okay, the key word is after the contract of sale. Now, what is the difference between specific and ascertained? Specific is agreed upon at the time, ascertained are agreed upon after. So, out of mass, when I keep things aside, that becomes ascertained. What are future goods? Future goods, they are to be manufactured, they are to be produced, they are to be acquired after the formation. So they are to be manufactured, to be produced, to be acquired under the contract of sale. So I am like, I need to manufacture those bulbs. I am yet to acquire the goods. They are all future goods because everything will happen in the future. Contingent goods are those goods, the acquisition of which by the seller depends. So I'll write the word acquisition also so you'll understand what is dependent. Acquisition of goods depends upon either happening or non-happening of some uncertain event. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to acquire goods or not. It depends upon happening or non-happening of some future uncertain event. Okay, is money goods? What should I write? No. Notes? No. Old and rare coins? Yes. Old and rare coins which are no longer in circulation, they are goods. Students, please pause the video. Copy this in the workbook. All right. Now, what is the effect of destruction of subject matter? Now, it may so happen that contract of sale is made, but before the sale actually happens, goods are destroyed. So, goods perish sometimes even before the contract is made. Like, I am about to make the contract and unknown to both the parties, the goods have perished. So, the contract is void ab initio. So sometimes the goods perish even before the contract is made. So it is void ab initio. So what are the conditions for the contract to be void? The conditions are that the goods must be specific. Like, say for example, X wanted to buy Y's car, but before they could make the contract, the car is destroyed in floods. Now, I don't want any other car, I want that car only. Goods are specific, they are destroyed, contract becomes void. Okay. Next is, it is without the fault of parties. The goods which have perished is without the fault of either parties. And the third requirement is that seller is unaware of the destruction. He is not at all aware of the destruction. He is ignorant. Contract is void. It's because it's impossible now. So we are entering into the contract, and unknown to both the parties, the car is already destroyed and we are not aware of it. Contract becomes void. But what if it is just an agreement to sell? Okay, now in case of agreement to sell, the agreement has been entered, but before it materializes into sale, the goods are destroyed. Okay, so agreement has been entered, but before it becomes sale, goods are destroyed. In this period, goods perish after the agreement is made, but before it becomes sale. What if the goods are specific goods? Then it is void. No, I can't accept something else. Agreement is void. What about future goods? Agreement is void if the goods have been sufficiently identified. Okay, if goods are sufficiently identified. What about uncertain goods? We had not identified the goods. Very good. You can buy it from somewhere else. See, in case of specific, I don't want anything other than those goods, contract is void. In case of uncertain goods, I can buy it from somewhere else. The contract remains valid because it is possible, it is capable of being performed. But in spite of that, if the parties don't perform, this non-performance will amount to breach of contract. Aggrieved party can claim damages. The last part of the first unit is fixing the price of goods. See, price may be fixed between the parties because it is their contract by the parties. It's their contract, they will decide. It may be fixed in a manner provided in the contract, like valuation, let's go to a valuer, let's use this formula, or it may be determined during the course of dealings, or it may be fixed by some third party. If the third party does not, or he fails, okay, if he does not fix the price, or he fails to fix the price, if the buyer has received some goods, then the buyer will have to pay some reasonable price. Okay, he will have to pay some reasonable price. So students, these are few conditions of price of goods. Please ensure that your workbook is complete. Done? All right. Next we have conditions and warranties. Now condition, it is a write down stipulation which is essential to the main purpose of contract. It is a stipulation which is essential to the main purpose of the contract. If there is a breach, the aggrieved party can terminate the contract. Aggrieved party can terminate the contract as well as claim damages. What is a warranty? Students, you already know this, yes? We just need to write and revise. Write down. It is a stipulation which is only collateral to the main purpose of contract. It is only collateral, that is a keyword, to the main purpose. If there is a breach, you can only claim damages. You cannot terminate because the main purpose is satisfied. Only some collateral, some additional purpose is not satisfied. You cannot terminate the contract. You can only claim damages. Now, which are these implied conditions? There is condition as to title. What is the meaning of title? Title means ownership. What is our presumption? Our presumption is that seller is the owner. He has the right to sell. If he does not have, it is breach of condition. Remedies will remain the same in all. You can terminate the contract. You can claim damages. The next is condition as per description. So what is the assumption? What is the assumption? What are the keywords? The assumption is that the goods shall correspond to the description. If the goods are not as per description, simple, we can reject. Terminate the contract, we can reject the goods. Yes, we can reject the goods and we can claim damages. Next, we have condition in sale by sample. So what is our assumption over here? The assumption is that the goods, which is bulk, okay, the bulk will be as per sample. That is our assumption. If they are not, reject the goods, claim damages. In case of sale by sample as well as description. So simple, students. I know you already know the answer. Your answer will be that the goods will be as per sample and description. Yes or no? So you will assume that the goods are as per sample and as per the description. Condition and warranty, in fact, there is no condition. There is no warranty as to quality or fitness. You have to check. Okay, so there is no assumption. There is no condition as to quality or fitness. You have to check whether the goods are of the quality and quantity that you require and fitness for the purpose, whether they are fit for the purpose or not. But yes, there are certain exceptions. Under these exceptional cases, you may get some remedy. The exceptions are that the purpose of buying is known to seller. So seller knows why I am taking the goods. Seller suggested. He said you take this. And the seller has been dealing in those goods since a long time. If these conditions are satisfied, then yes, there can be a condition as to quality or fitness because we have made the purpose known to the seller. In case of condition as to merchantability, what is the meaning of merchantability, students? The meaning is that it is fit to be sold in the market. What is our assumption? That the goods are of good quality, which is fit to be sold. They are of quality which is fit. If they are not, we will reject and claim damages. Condition as to wholesomeness. Students, if I'm going fast for you, you can anytime pause the video, take down notes. You can even go back and listen to the explanation again. That's the beauty of these recorded lectures. What is the meaning of wholesomeness? Yes, tell me. Wholesomeness means it is fit for human consumption. See, whenever we buy some grocery, something which can be consumed, it is our assumption that the goods are fit to be consumed. If they are not, we will reject it. We will claim damages. If our stomach is upset or food poisoning, we have to go to the hospital, we can claim all that from the seller. Next is condition implied by customs. These are nothing but trade customs. Sometimes the trade customs impose certain conditions. They are also known as usages. Okay, what are they known as? Usages. Also known as usages. So sometimes the conditions are imposed by trade customs also. What are the implied warranties? Now, implied warranties may be warranty as to quiet possession. See, here the assumption is that main purpose is satisfied, but I have the right to enjoy quiet possession of goods. No one should disturb, no one should take away the goods from me. Nobody should disturb my right to enjoy the benefits of those goods. Then we have warranty as to free from encumbrance. Encumbrance means, students, you will write down charge. We assume that goods are free of any security. Okay, they are free of any security. They are not given as security. They are free to be bought and sold. Then we have disclosure as to the dangerous nature, like crackers. It is your duty to inform the buyer that they are explosive substances. Please use them carefully. Don't keep them near the fire, or please keep away from children. So meaning is that if the goods are dangerous, you have to inform the buyer of the probable danger. If you feel that the buyer is ignorant, it is your duty to inform him of the probable danger. Okay. So if he is ignorant of the danger, if you don't, he can claim damages. Next, there is warranty as to quality or fitness by usage of trade. Now, trade will impose some or trade customs will impose that this, if they are buying, it has to be fit for a purpose. Like if you are buying a refrigerator, it should be fit to make ice. Okay, so that it means that it is understood that it will make ice. You need not specify that. Students, please check whether your notes are complete. Done? Okay. Check this. All right. The last part, caveat emptor. What is the meaning of caveat emptor? Oh, you are so bright. It means let the buyer beware. Let the buyer beware. So buyer has to check the goods before buying. Buyer beware. No seller will point out defects in his product. You have to check the product before buying. But there are exceptions. Under these exceptional cases, the buyer is not liable, seller is liable. Okay? If the goods are sold by description, sample, or both, we will assume that the goods which are supplied are as per the sample, they are as per description. If they are not, you can't blame the buyer. Seller is liable. If the buyer has made his purpose known to the seller and he relies upon the seller has suggested, he has relied upon the skill, the judgment of the seller. Buyer is not responsible if the goods don't meet the purpose. Goods must be of merchantable quality. If they are not, you can't blame the buyer. If there is some active concealment of defect by the seller, something which you will not come to know even after reasonable examination, buyer is not liable. Condition is imposed by trade custom or they are purchased under brand name. You rely on the brand. Then you can't blame the buyer for it. He trusted the brand. So you can blame the seller. Students, wow, that's so amazing. We finished first 2 units. I didn't even realize. I'm pausing the video here because I don't want to make it very lengthy. Take few minutes break. Okay, take a few minutes break. Come back and watch unit 3 and 4.